If you're in advertising, or really any kind of marketing, you face this one big question every single day. What should our ad actually say? It sounds so simple, right? But getting it right is pretty much the difference between an ad that works and one that's just, well, a total waste of money.
And I mean, think about it for a second. You've definitely seen this. You see a car ad and it's just a laundry list of technical specs, and then the next commercial break you see a soda ad that's just people laughing on a beach. One's selling you features, the other is selling you a feeling. So what gives? Why the completely different approaches? Is one just better, or is it all kind of random?
Well, it turns out, for a long time, it really was pretty random. Researchers Rossiter and Percy actually called this out, saying that choosing what to focus on in an ad was a huge unsolved problem in the industry. But the good news is, they didn't just point out the problem. They came up with a solution, a really clear strategic playbook. Okay, let's dive into this.
See, without a framework, picking what your ad says is basically a shot in the dark. I mean, sure, you might get lucky, but luck, that's not a business strategy. That's exactly why a model like this is so critical. It's like having a reliable map that guides you to the right choice every single time. So to really appreciate why this new model was such a big deal, we got to look at what it replaced. For years, the main idea floating around was something called the means-end chain. And it was really rigid. It was this very linear way of thinking that tried to force a connection from a product's features all the way up to someone's deepest personal values.
And here's the thing about that old model. It had some major flaws. It was built on this idea that every single ad had to force the customer up this imaginary ladder. You start with an attribute, you connect it to a consequence, and then you land on some profound personal value. But how on earth does that explain a classic Coca-Cola ad, right? There's no product feature that logically leads to the value of global harmony. The model just completely fell apart, trying to explain some of the most successful ads ever made.
And that right there brings us to the hero of our story, the ABE model. It's super simple: attribute, benefit, and emotion. But the genius of it is that it's not a rigid ladder. It's a flexible framework that helps you strategically pick the single best thing to focus on for your message. So let's break down what each of these means.
All right, first up, A is for attribute. This is the easy one. It's just an objective, factual thing about the product or service. It's what the product has. So for instance, a bank having a whole bunch of ATM machines, that's a concrete attribute. Simple.
Then we have B for benefit. Now, this is what the customer actually gets from that attribute. It's the reward they're looking for. See, it's not about what the product has anymore. It's about what the buyer wants. So all those ATMs, the benefit for you is fast, convenient service.
And finally, that brings us to E for emotion. This is the end game. It's the feeling you get from that benefit. It's what the buyer ultimately feels. So that fast service you get from the ATMs, that leads to a feeling of relief, freedom from the hassle of banking. It's that deeper emotional payoff.
Okay, now this is the most important part, the real game changer. Unlike that old clunky model, you do not have to connect all three of these. The whole point of the ABE model is making a strategic choice. Should your ad focus on the attribute, the benefit, or the emotion? The right answer depends entirely on your specific situation. So let's open up the playbook, shall we? We'll start with the first strategy, focusing on what it has. So when is it actually a good idea to just talk about your product's features? Turns out, there are 3 key scenarios where this is the smartest move. So when do you lead with attributes? Well, the first time is when you're talking to experts, people who really know their stuff. The second is when you're selling something you can't really see or touch, like banking or insurance. And the third is when all your competitors are screaming about the exact same benefits and you desperately need a way to sound different.
And we actually got data to back this up. Check this out. One study showed ads for a new computer to a group of novices. As you can see, when the ad focused on the benefits, their attitude toward the brand was way higher. And that makes sense, right? Novices don't know what all the tech specs mean. They need you to tell them why it matters.
But now, watch what happens with the experts. The results completely flip on their head. They rated the brand much, much higher when the ad focused on the attributes. Why? Because experts already know what benefits come from those specs. Just give them the raw data and their brains will connect the dots. It's a perfect example of why an attribute focus totally works for this audience.
And this same logic works perfectly for intangible services. You can't really experience the benefit of great insurance until, you actually need it. So those tangible attributes, like a really modern-looking office or professional employees, they act as physical clues, like evidence of the quality you hope you're going to get down the line.
All right, let's move to the next play in our book, the what it does strategy. This is all about focusing on the benefit. Now, you might think this is the default for most advertising, but the ABE model shows us it's actually a very specific tool for very specific jobs. You'll want to focus on benefits when your brand has a real advantage that's actually tough for others to copy. It's also your go-to strategy for that classic problem/solution ad format. And it's perfect for when you need to use clear logic to challenge a stubborn, emotional belief someone might have. A perfect example of that problem/solution format, just think of pretty much any laundry detergent ad you've ever seen. It always starts by showing you the problem. A pristine white shirt now covered in a horrible grass stain. That creates a little bit of anxiety, right? And then, bam, it shows you the solution. The same shirt, now perfectly clean. That's the benefit, right there in action. And that brings us to our final strategy in the playbook, and it's a powerful one, the how it feels approach. This is all about bypassing the features and even the direct benefits to focus squarely on the emotional payoff. It's a very specific tool, but when you use it right, it's incredibly effective.
So you pull out the emotion card when your product's benefits are basically the same as everyone else's. It's also absolutely key for what are called transformational brands. These are brands that promise to actually change how you feel by offering things like social approval or just pure sensory pleasure. And, in a cool reversal of the last strategy, you can use an emotional ad to disrupt a competitor's very rational, feature-based argument.
This slide is the perfect comparison. You've got Heinz ketchup and Coca-Cola. Both of them are in these super crowded markets where their core benefits are pretty easy for anyone else to copy. So what did they do? Heinz chose an attribute focus. They hammered home its thickness, a small, maybe even trivial but memorable feature. Coca-Cola went the complete opposite way. They focused on an emotion, associating their brand with feelings of fun and togetherness. Both are totally valid, strategic choices from the ABE playbook. So let's just put it all together. Here it is. The entire ABE playbook, all in one place. As you can see, the choice becomes really clear. You focus on attributes when you're talking to experts or selling intangible services. You focus on benefits when you have a unique advantage or a clear problem you can solve. And you focus on emotion when your benefits are easy to copy or when you're selling a feeling. It's really that simple and that powerful. So if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. Great advertising isn't about climbing some rigid, old-fashioned ladder from features to values. It's about making a smart, strategic choice based on who you're talking to, what you're selling, and who you're up against. It's all about picking the right tool for the right job. The ABE model really gives you a new lens to look at the entire world of advertising. So the next time you see a commercial, ask yourself, are they focusing on an attribute, a benefit, or an emotion? And more importantly, based on what you know now, did they make the right call?